Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Side to Side Sportscast, where it's your boys, Will, Woody, and CJ. And you know we always break it down from the court side, the ring side, the sidelines. And for those sports they play outdoors, we outside, we side to side. That's how we ride. And riding with us today is a diehard Boston sports fan. It's our man, Pat Gill, side to side with the crew. What it do?
How we doing, fellas? Great to be here.
Oh, man, we're doing good, man. We're glad to have you here today. I see you representing Boston Celtics on the T-shirt, right? So, obviously, you are a Boston Celtics fan, huh?
That's right. Hottest team in the NBA right now.
Hey, they are definitely hot. It seems like they're turning their season around. But tell us, overall, I know you're a Boston fans, but tell us, what are some of your favorite teams in sports across the land?
You know, if we're gonna venture outside of Boston, because number one teams across all sports reside in Massachusetts. If we're looking at the NFL, I've always really liked the Saints. It'll be interesting to see what happens to them next year with Sean Payton out of there. But I've always loved the Saints. For the NBA, love the Rockets really since they had Tracy McGrady. So they've always had a soft spot in my heart, even though I do like to troll on some people in the group every now and then about them. And for the NFL, probably the Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a Randy Moss fan ever since I could remember. So I love the Vikings when he was on the team there. So again, always had a soft spot for them as well.
Shout out to Pat Gill. You are our first fan who actually said, you know what, I do like my home teams, but here's some of the other teams that I like. I like that, man. That's actually, yeah, that's actually pretty dope. So you said you like the Saints. I definitely think it'll be interesting to see what happens after Sean Payton. And I can't stand the Minnesota Vikings myself. In basketball, the Houston Rockets, man, historically, another interesting team. So what are some of the teams in sports that you despise?
New York.
Oh, yeah, got to. That's an easy one, right? That's the layup question.
There you go, man. What's the, it looked like Woody got the fake green on. You representing the real green.
Oh, I was going to say, to Woody's credit, I definitely hate the Giants more than I hate the Jets.
That's fair. That's fair. I would absolutely agree. See, he's speaking my language now. He's a McGrady guy. He's a Boston guy. But so listen, Pat. Let's see if we line up on this. What's your favorite sports moment of all time?
It's got to be one of my earlier sports memories, and that's the 4 Days in October documentary from 30 for 30 in the 04 Red Sox.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great story. You can't get a better story, right?
Yeah, I mean, there could be other answers, but that's the best one, I think.
Yeah, it's living through that in Boston, just feeling like you are just getting smacked again by the Yankees, and
still gives me goosebumps.
Just cowboying up, right? Like Kevin Millar out. You just got some goons just playing baseball, just with on the ropes.
Well, I saw an interview. A clip of an interview just a couple of days ago, and Johnny Damon was on it, and he was telling a story about that series. And before Game 4, he said Kevin Millar busted out a bottle of Jack Daniels. Everybody took a shot before the game, and then they did it again for Game 5, and then they did it again for Game 6, and then they did it again for Game 7.
Man, if it wasn't for
and in the World Series too.
It's Kevin Millar, right? He was the one who said, he's like, they were down 3-0, they go into Game 4, and he goes, "Don't let us win tonight.
Exactly.
Do not let us win tonight, because then you got to face Pedro, and then you got to face Schilling, and guess what? Then it's 3-3, and anything can happen in a Game 7." And boy,
it's almost word for word from the documentary.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite sports moment. So we align there. Now tell me, what's the worst? What's the worst sports moment of your New England career?
The first thing that came to mind, still hurts as bad as the day it happened, is the helmet catch, 18-1. Patriots losing in the Super Bowl.
God. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you guys are all real upset about that.
Yeah.
I was actually rooting for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like we were gonna make history, right? Like just like complete the seat, like boom, and then that happens, and it felt like that play was over 5 times before it was. And then I was gonna say the only one that can compare to that, going back to baseball, the Booney home run, that's my worst.
I thought about that too, but I feel like it's also part of the story with the 04 Sox.
That's
coming
true.
back the next year and then having that happen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair thought.
No other NFL teams ever won 18 games in a season, so we still have that.
Valid.
Go.
We're gonna have to lean back on that one, right? Couldn't get much title ring, but yeah, that's great.
Who are some of your favorite players in any sport, just of all time?
I mean, like I mentioned, from the teams that I like outside of New England, I always really like Tracy McGrady. Him and Kevin Garnett are probably my 2 all-time favorite players. Randy Moss and Tom Brady, kind of layups there for football players. And then Manny Ramirez, because he was the first and only active player I've ever gotten an autograph from at a game. First Red Sox game I went to, he signed my baseball, so that was pretty much a done deal. And then David Ortiz too.
Oh man,
I know it's pretty homegrown as far as the favorite players go.
Do you have any outside of Boston that you like?
Yeah, for the NBA, a lot of players like out of the '90s. I always loved Sean Kemp. Never really watched much of him, live, just because I was a little too young for it. But he's definitely my favorite highlight reels to watch, probably ever. I don't want to waste any time and try and rack my brain for any others, but definitely Sean Kemp is probably number 3 for all-time favorite basketball players.
Hey, Sean Kemp was definitely a great highlight factory. That was an exciting Seattle Supersonics team. So there's got to be some players that you dislike.
Yeah, Eli Manning for one.
I figured you would say that.
But really, there aren't a whole lot of players across sports that I dislike, and I don't really dislike Eli. Just salty about the 2 Super Bowls. But Ben Simmons is probably one of the only players I can genuinely say I dislike. And a lot of from what I've heard, a lot of the attitude that he gives off in the media is pretty spot on. Cousin of mine, his best friend from high school, his name's Rob McClanahan. He's a really high-level personal trainer for basketball players, and he's had all sorts of NBA guys from Steph Curry to you name them. They've probably worked with him, including Ben Simmons. Worked with him for 1 season and refused to ever work with him again because he had such a poor work ethic and said he was the laziest player he'd ever worked with. Doesn't even include him on his website as a player he's worked with because he disliked him so much.
Putting your boy Rob on blast. All right, Rob.
Wow, that is some amazing stuff right there. You know what's funny? Woody was celebrating when you said Ben Simmons, but I remember a few sportscasts back earlier when the weather was still nice outside. He was definitely first class of defense for Ben Simmons. But we don't have to revisit that conversation. And another thing is, I don't know if any of you saw this, but Ben Simmons' first year when he was in the summer league, and it was, he was walking from the back tunnel and he had his headset on. One of the cameramen tried to get in front of him and get a picture, and the cameraman stumbled. And the other cameraman had it on camera. You know what Ben Simmons did? Instead of stopping and helping this guy up, he straight stepped over him like nothing ever happened. And I knew in that moment that this dude does not care about anybody but Ben Simmons. That's all I gotta say. It's amazing that he's such a good passer because he only cares about himself. But, that's all I have to say.
The unselfish thing that he does.
Yeah, that's probably it right there. Well, as far as that is concerned, man, let's talk about some things that are taking place in the sidelines right now, right? It is a big offseason for NFL teams. A lot of new faces in new places when it comes to head coaches. And you two, being New England Patriots fans, I just want to know, finally, it seems that Josh McDaniels has left the nest. Last time he did this, he went to Indy and then he ran back home. This time he's in Vegas, and I don't think he's running back home this time. I want to know from you guys, from the New England perspective, how are you going to miss Josh McDaniels with the development of Mac Jones?
I'll let you take this one.
All right. As far as the development of Mac Jones goes, I think it'll, depending on how the rest of the search goes for the Patriots, it'll definitely be affected by McDaniels not being there. But as big of a question mark as the offensive coordinator position may be at this moment, I think an important thing that all Patriots fans will most likely agree with me on is as long as Belichick is still there, then we're in good hands. And nothing's going to go horribly, horribly wrong. On the upside, we'll see how much he's able to improve. I hope he's going to have a breakout year next year, see a lot more passing yards out of him than we did this season, for one. But as far as McDaniels goes, looking at when he went to Indy last season and when he was actually in Denver for a couple seasons 10, 12 years ago, this Vegas team is easily the best team that he's gotten to with the head coaching position. Derek Carr is a much better quarterback than Tim Tebow ever was, and he was much better than a late 30-something-year-old Phillip Rivers that McDaniels had in Indianapolis. Along with Darren Waller as the tight end, Renfro, Josh Jacobs, you can go down the list. Their offense is firing on all cylinders when they're hot and they're unstoppable. So I think it's the best team he's inherited. So I think it's going to be positive for both sides. And if it doesn't go well in Vegas, McDaniels knows he's always got a home back in New England to come back to.
It's funny how true that is.
It is funny because they're already bringing back Joe Judge on the Pats.
Yep, I saw that today too. Yeah,
and they're not even calling him the offensive coordinator, so that still leads me to believe that it's potential for Bill O'Brien to come back in. If they have all these familiar faces, as Will just said, going to a familiar place, then it's pretty much just a recipe for continuity, really. And teaching Mac Jones, as far as that goes, kind of like Pat said, I'm more or less just saying, it wasn't, look at how many offensive coordinators Tom Brady had. It was Belichick that was running that offense, and everybody kind of going by his tune. Bill O'Brien, even said it, like his first year with Brady, it was mostly Brady kind of just running the show. It wasn't anything that he was, waving a magic wand. So I think it was a lot of Bill O'Brien learning from Brady and then being able to kind of take that. And so if he can take that knowledge and pass it along to Mac Jones, if we get him, or, if Joe Judge comes back, obviously a far lesser role than the head coach, which seemed to be a little bit above his head. I don't see any reason why the Patriots and Mac Jones won't be better than they were this year.
Fair points. I mean, I agree with both of you that Bill Belichick is definitely the one that stirs the pot. Woody, out of all the other coaching hires, which one is the most intriguing to you?
I feel like there are a lot of intriguing hires. It's actually been kind of crazy. Before I talk about my pick, I just want to talk about the Pats. All right, I come from a place of peace. All right, AFC East. I also wouldn't be worried about Mac Jones, right? I'm hearing Adam Gase, man. I don't know. I'm hearing that he might be the OC, which actually wouldn't really be that bad. Like in all seriousness, I truly believe.
Good old crazy eyes.
He does have those eyes, he has those eyes. But I'm telling you, I'm thinking because Belichick runs the show, he's such a great. He would really get the best out of Gase. Like clearly, I don't think Gase is complete trash. I mean, he did have his success with Peyton, right? And obviously, Peyton was a filter, right? He was filtering what Gase was saying. I think Belichick would kind of do the same thing. So don't be surprised. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I think who am I more confident in? The Pats without Josh McDaniels or Josh McDaniels in Vegas? I'm going to go with the Pats. But I'll say my pick. I just don't have a lot of faith in the roster. Pat, you were talking about Darren Waller. I mean, he's definitely good, and Josh Jacobs. I don't even know if Derek Carr will be there, so that's a whole another question mark in itself. But yeah, I'm not really too sure. I just am a little bit more confident that less players will go to jail this year. That's what I can say. But
one can only hope.
What's the over under?
6? I don't know.
Get a prop bet on that.
So my pick, right? The most intriguing hire. There's been a lot, but I will pick another AFC East team. I mean, I don't know. I feel like they made a mistake firing Brian Flores. We don't have to talk about what I mean, he's in the descent of legal drama, but he was a good coach. But you know what they did? They chose Tua, right? Because there was dissension, right? There was a feud, and the owner, he chose Tua. So not only did he fire the man who was trying to hold Tua accountable, but now he has found yet another offensive young guru to now try to develop his QB. That hire of 49ers OC Mike McDaniel is a clear Tua, we love you. We are going to do everything that you want, everything that we think will help you type move. So Mike McDaniel, he's been OC for exactly 1 year. All right. But he's been under the Kyle Shanahan learning tree for 4 years now. Is that enough? I mean, we keep trying to find these young offensive masterminds, and none of them have quite really been, Sean McVay, right? Because of all the people under that Kyle Shanahan tree, I think Sean is in a level of his own, right? The Jets just got Mike LaFleur, right, who just had that OC job. So poor Kyle Shanahan, my God, every single time he has a coach, some other person some other team just comes, and now they have a new OC or they have a new head coach. So poor Kyle Shanahan. Hopefully, the Niners are okay. But these Dolphins, I think they are a huge question mark. I think they have a talented roster, but Mike McDaniel, is he the next wonderkin, or is he just another young dude who's overhyped? I don't know.
What do you got, Gaddy? Before I give you some nice take here.
I'm actually, this Mike McDaniel pick. It's not my pick, but it is one that I am intrigued by. Forget the Brian Flores thing. The NFL is really trying to find the next Sean McVay. So teams are just reaching for these young coordinators, right? And I'm just mad that the Dolphins didn't hire Kellen Moore, because I wanted somebody to get him out of my team's sideline. But that's besides the point.
I'm mad about that too.
I have a tie for 2. I'm sorry, I can't pick one over the other, but I'll start with one. My intrigue, I'm really interested in this pick. I'm going to keep it in the same state, just go further north. And we're going to go into Jacksonville, where the Jacksonville Jaguars hired Doug Pederson. And the reason why that is so intriguing to me is because Trevor Lawrence had a trash rookie season. And I knew it was going to happen because a rookie quarterback with a first-time NFL experience head coach is a disaster waiting to happen because this college offense that Urban Meyer is used to, and even though he got some NFL play callers there on the side, it's still he oversaw the whole team. It wasn't working at all. Trevor Lawrence, 12 touchdowns on the whole entire season, 17 interceptions, 3,600 yards passing. He had 2 streaks of 3 games in a row with no touchdowns, and one of those streaks was actually 4 games. He had a bad year, but now you bring in Doug Pederson, who is king of the RPO. He got Wentz going early. Some people argue that, hey, maybe that was Frank Wright. It's debatable, but we'll see if Doug Pederson is really good with quarterbacks because here's his chance now. He heard that message while he wasn't coaching that, it was all Frank, it wasn't me. And, Wentz came back not the same Wentz, and they didn't necessarily have the same grip on the team. I feel like he's going to take this challenge, and I think that this is a very good situation for Trevor Lawrence. I know I said I'm tied for 2, but I'll bring up my other one if neither of you speak of it. But what's the more intriguing head coaching hire for how about you, CJ?
So I'm going to go with one, and this may be against the rules, but just to keep the book open here. There's Kevin O'Connell going to the Vikings is one that I'm really intrigued by, and I don't see why it wouldn't happen at this point. There's quite a bit of buzz around there, and it almost feels like it's official, but officially unofficial right now. And they go from Mike Zimmer to O'Connell, and it feels like a modern move, kind of like Gaddy was just touching on. Everybody's looking for the next McVay. Kevin O'Connell might be that guy, right? I mean, he is, as an offensive coordinator with the Rams, helping at least turn Cooper Kupp into what he is. Now he's getting Justin Jefferson. I mean, there is potential there that I could see him having a huge boost to even what was already an outstanding season from Justin Jefferson and bring him to the next level. So spoiler alert, Jefferson's going to be real high on my draft list in fantasy next year, especially if Kevin O'Connell gets this job, because I think there's going to be a lot of focus there. So that's mine. And again, it's not official yet, but all signs point to that being the Vikings number 1. So hope to them that they pick it up, because I think it's going to be a positive.
Good point.
Nice.
Pat, what you got?
So I know it's been all over the news recently, but I think Brian Daboll is my most intriguing hire so far. The Brian Flores side of the whole saga and Bill Belichick texting the wrong Brian has taken up a lot more of the airtime regarding the whole hire. But, I think that adds an insane level of pressure to someone inheriting a team that won 5 games this year. And so I think he's got way more pressure on him because of all the coverage he's already got. I think it's a really interesting pick for the type of coach that he is outside of all of the media hype, because of what he did in Buffalo over the last 3 years with their offense, and hopefully breathe some life into the Giants offense, get Saquon back somewhere near what he was expected to be when he first got drafted. Maybe have Daniel Jones learn how to hold on to the ball for more than 5 minutes at a time, and try and score more than 10 points a game. So I think that really is that's my most intriguing pick. He's yet another coach. You're talking about the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, James, but I think that this is another, the Belichick coaching tree. How many coaches across the league over the last few years have come from New England at some points? So mixed track record over those coaches, but I think he's got a recipe for success in a year or 2.
I agree. I think Daboll probably has a higher floor than probably almost any other coach that we mentioned. I truly believe Mike McDaniel Kevin O'Connell, those are literally like those are 50-50. You talking about eliminating the coin flip from the OT rules? That's a coin flip. I have no idea with Kevin O'Connell, Mike McDaniel. These are guys that were offensive coordinators for literally 1 year, and now they're getting handed the keys to a kingdom. Very unproven.
O'Connell's been there the last 2 seasons with the Rams.
Okay, 2 years. So
I mean, it's a pretty
double the experience that I was thinking. So,
but right? I mean, it does kind of matter a little bit. Like 2 years with that offense looked pretty good.
But I would put that under the same concept of like Belichick, like that's McVay's offense, like just like Kyle Shanahan. Like Kyle Shanahan is churning out these offensive coordinators. Now Kevin O'Connell is McVay's first churn. Like McVay should be patting himself on the back. Like, damn, I'm about to have a coaching tree of my own.
Right? Yeah, that's definitely a good point. McVay is definitely like, all right, cool, yeah, here we go.
Coaching sprout.
Coaching. He's looking at poaching.
But yeah, so I don't know. I really wouldn't be too confident. I do think Pederson's good for Trevor, but I think Daboll is the real gem here. We've seen it. We've seen him take a raw quarterback. I believe Josh Allen in his first year in the league might have thrown for 12 TDs, maybe less. I mean, Stag's going to put the stats when we edit this, so we'll know for a fact. But I'm pretty sure he did not have more than 13 TDs in his first year. And what Daboll was able to do with him, I mean, I'm not trying to say that Daniel Jones is going to be, it's probably going to be the next quarterback that they get after Daniel Jones.
I was going to say, be careful.
But he's definitely, I would feel the most comfortable with that hire as opposed to the other ones we've mentioned so far.
Well, yeah, I remember you mentioned Josh Allen's progression. I remember last season they were showing a stat, and this season that we're finishing up with was the first time it wasn't true. But this was the first season he has regressed in any of the major categories. Rushing yards, passing yards, passing completions. He did increase his passing completion pretty significantly this year, but his rushing yards and his passing yards were down just a little bit. And those are the first times in his career they were lower than the year before.
That's definitely a nugget right there, and I fully support the Brian Daboll hire. As a Cowboys fan, I really love the fact that the Giants were hiring these duds over the past several years, after Tom Coughlin, but I think they made the right choice with Brian Daboll. Not sure if Daniel Jones is going to be his guy, but he'll give it a crack for a year, and we'll see what they do. But some of the other moves that were made, the Saints announced that Dennis Allen is unofficial, but is likely official, is going to take over for Sean Payton. And another one that we didn't talk about, the Houston Texans have hired Lovie Smith, and I like Lovie, and I don't want to speculate, but I feel like there was some pressure into making that decision. But that's a story for another day. And the one that confused me is Matt Eberflus, who I like Matt Eberflus, but the Chicago Bears with Justin Fields, I thought that they would go a little bit more offensive. And here was my tie. Nathaniel Hackett for the Denver Broncos, and only for one reason. I feel like the Broncos hired him because that is their pitch to get Aaron Rodgers. It's no secret last year when Aaron Rodgers was a little bit upset with the team and he put that clause in there that, hey, I'll play this year and then after this I can do whatever I want, but they're still trying to keep him in Green Bay. He still may ultimately stay in Green Bay, but Denver made it no secret that they wanted Aaron Rodgers. They were looking to trade for him. They were trying to trade for him during the draft. There was a lot of rumors going on. And now they hire Nathaniel Hackett, the Green Bay Packers offensive coordinator. I'm just curious to see if that gets the deal done or that prevents the deal from getting done. Because what if Rodgers doesn't want to play for Hackett? Right? Did they think of that? I don't know. What if he doesn't? We don't know. I want to see.
I'm sure their research on whether he likes Nathaniel Hackett or not.
I'm sure they did, but Aaron Rodgers is a different. He's a different cat, man.
Yeah, he doesn't like a lot of people.
Aaron will just be like, "Man, you know what? Today I wake up and I never want to play for that coach." You just don't know. Like He's different, man. But that's why I was saying that was a pretty intriguing hire for me, because I feel like they're risking it. You know, they went out there and got him, and now we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. But
listen, maybe Devontae Adams loves him, right? You never know.
Hey, if they get both,
and then Aaron Rodgers is like, "Well, all right, now I'm going." Right?
Could you imagine if they got both?
What's that?
I mean,
I honestly think that's a package deal. Like, I think they have a little love fest, and they.
Well, didn't Rodgers say that he wouldn't play without Davante Adams?
Did he say that?
I'm pretty sure he said that at some point this season or right after they got knocked out. Somewhat recently.
It feels like a very Tom and Gronk situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Devontae, he really likes Derek Carr, his college QB. He's gone on record saying he would love to unite with Derek Carr.
But perhaps that could also be valid. For whatever reason, I just get this feeling that he really likes catching the ball from Aaron Rodgers. Now maybe there's a play for Derek Carr or something like that in Green Bay if Aaron leaves and then Devontae decides to stay. You know, there's a lot of pieces that can move. We know that.
And another thing is Devontae doesn't know if Aaron Rodgers is staying. Aaron Rodgers could retire. Like, I don't think he will. But he was ready to give it all up and go host Jeopardy. He said he wants to explore other things. The good thing is he said he's not going to take a long time to make his decision. I think it's already been too long. We deserve to know what you're going to do, number 12. Just like our boy Woody here mentioned before, man, you want to put up this, image of you doing 30 for 30, and then you just go get knocked out of the playoffs. Unlike Michael Jordan, you should be ready to announce where you're going to be playing next year, man, because you ain't so hot no more, buddy. Not with these consistent playoff losses. Not so hot no more. I do want to revisit really quick this coaching this coaching tree that you guys talked about, because low key there is a pretty significant coaching tree developing, and you all talked about it. Sean McVay. Think about who he's coaching up against in the Super Bowl this weekend. His former offensive coordinator, Zach Taylor. This is going to be a showdown. And we got the unexpected Cincinnati Bengals, who only won 4 games last year, coming up to play against the team that's risked it all. 7 straight years without a first-round draft pick. Trade after trade after trade after trade. In the Super Bowl, the LA Rams. What are your thoughts on this upcoming game?
Well, first, I wanted to give you a little clap for that segue there. That was really nice. I really appreciated that.
It was very good.
Well done.
Sorry, CJ, I didn't mean to cut you
off.
No,
please, by all means, go for it.
I am real excited for this Super Bowl. I am definitely all in on the hype train for Cincinnati. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've got a young quarterback with an upstart team that wasn't very good the year before, has quote unquote no business being in the Super Bowl. Oh, and they're playing the Rams. What quarterback does that remind you of? So I'm going to go 2017 Bengals.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's what I'll say. I've been on the Rams boat for all damn year now. I mean,
CJ, it's been great sitting next to you, man. Come on.
Yeah, dude. We've been riding that train, and I've been on the Cooper Kupp bandwagon and the Stafford bandwagon, and just Jalen Ramsey out there shutting people down, and they got names and names and names, and then they go out and get Von Miller, and I'm like, this is just gonna be crazy. So they still, much like the point Woody brought up earlier in the playoffs, they still have pressure. It is Super Bowl or bust in LA right now. I mean, that's just facts. If they lose, nobody cares that they made it to the Super Bowl. Stafford's still not going to have a ring. Sure, he made it to the big game. He won a couple of games, but who cares, right? Nobody celebrates second place, especially with them pouring away their future, they got to win. They got to win right now. It's to associate with baseball, Pat. It's Dave Dombrowski situation. Comes in,
absolutely.
dump the farm, win a championship in a year, and then get the hell out of there. That's like that. That's what happens. And the Rams are in that situation right now. So I think they're going to actually take this game, even though I think the Bengals could pull it out. Like I would not shock me in the slightest if it's a 2017 game and they pull it out with McPherson last minute field goal. Would not shock me. But if I had to pick, my score is 23-14 Rams.
There is something magical. There is literally something magical about the Cincinnati Bengals this year. Like it's magic. Like this only happens every once in a while. As a matter of fact, the last time I saw magic like this was when the Bengals got smacked by Mike White early in the season. But magic, it's crazy because week in and week out we say, oh, the Bengals are going to lose this week. All right, the Bengals are going to lose this week. But they keep winning. And they have that swag, Joe, they call Joe Burrow, Joe Cool. How great is it to have another Joe in the Super Bowl, with all those names, right? And then McPherson, right, who's pretty much McPherless out here just kicking game-winning field goal after game-winning field goal. I mean, these Bengals, they bowed down to nobody at all. The Chiefs were up. The Chiefs were smacking the Bengals. And yet, who is it playing in the Super Bowl? The Bengals. I don't know. A lot of things cannot be explained, but I'm going to tell you something. I don't even want to say it because CJ already said it so beautifully, but I am going to say it. The Rams, their backs are against the wall. It's not just Matthew Stafford. It's not just Odell. It is Sean McVay himself. All right, look at this coaching tree that we're hyping up. He has no rings to show for it. Sean, can you ever win the big one? Les Snead, okay, he is the one who's responsible for trading away all these picks. Are you stupid or are you a genius? This is where you get to tell every doubter, all right, you know what? It's a family show, but this is where they get to prove the doubters wrong. All right. So LA Rams, Von Miller, are you going to get another shot like this again? All right. You're an unrestricted free agent. This is your shot. Everybody, Eric Weddle literally came back. He came back. I don't even know. He was at Walmart or something. All right. And they said, hey, are you still in shape? Someone who's never won a ring. This is his last shot out the blue. The pressure, the intensity, the desire, the will. It is unmatched. If you're asking me to pick a score for this Super Bowl, 30-24 LA Rams.
Ooh. And by the way, one point we have not made one really important part like that I have to throw in there that nobody said yet is it's a home game for the Rams.
It is.
So, I want to talk about that.
There will be more Bengals fans at the game than Rams fans.
LA, to me, the Rams are just, hey, they're a good football team. I'm not about to hate on the Rams, but it's not really a home game because I don't know if you all knew this, but the home team is not allowed to stay at home for the Super Bowl. The NFL owns the Super Bowl. They have to stay in a hotel. Now, granted, they don't have to travel like the Bengals got to leave Cincy and go to LA, right? But it's, it's not going to be just dominated by LA fans. There's been fans buying tickets to the game, before the two teams were named who are going to be there, right? So last year's home Super Bowl may have felt a little bit more homey because they had fake fans at the game because it was still like COVID. But this one, it's going to be a lot of people there, but they're not going to hear the same thunder that they hear when it's packed for them in there. It's going to be a little bit different. But I'll tell you what. I know Woody, and you even said, CJ, that it's a lot of pressure on the Rams. And it definitely is. But I'll argue that there's equal pressure on the Cincinnati Bengals because the Bengals, first of all, haven't been anywhere since 1991. A few years before that, they were a competitive team. And then what happened? They went decades without doing anything, right? Think about the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, who are young, hungry, young everywhere on the roster, right? They weren't aging at all. And they won the Super Bowl without their quarterback who had an MVP caliber season. It seemed like he would be back the next year and the Eagles would just be flying. But they never got back there. If you look at when teams lose the Super Bowl, teams that lose the Super Bowl, there's something about them that unravels. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They looked untouchable when they won the first Super Bowl when they beat the San Francisco 49ers. Then they went to play Tampa Bay. They lost that game. They started off this season questionable. They got themselves together, and then they lost to the Cincinnati Bengals team. The Bengals have to look at history. And look, if we don't take advantage of our moment right now, who knows when we'll be back? The time is now. It's now or potentially never. Now, yes, the Rams, they sold picks. They did everything. They bought it. The Bengals, they built it. And if you want to establish a dynasty and you want to put yourself in that light where you can be a competitive team for years to come because your roster is young. It's not just about the right now. Your roster is young. You don't have to give one of those major contracts right now to keep somebody. Your roster is young. If you can get this Super Bowl right now, then you could potentially be like the Seattle Seahawks were when they won that championship with a young roster. But then what happened? Throw an interception at the red zone. You lose to Tom Brady and the Patriots, and then that team, kind of unraveled in a championship picture. That loss matters big time. And I believe that the Bengals are well aware of this, and they're going to walk into that building with this chip on his shoulder. So I'm going to pick the Cincinnati Bengals, and here's why. Because the Simpsons in 1989 picked the Bengals to beat the Rams 34-31. And the Simpsons have been on fire. I'm going with Bart Simpson, Homer Simpson, Marge Simpson, and the little girl with the pacifier. And what's her name? Lisa? I'm going with them. I'm going with the Bengals to win this game.
I just want to say I have to.
Jerome Simpson, though? We're not gonna throw it back with the Bengals. The guy
who going to do?
Jerome Simpson.
Jerome Simpson.
Front flipping into the end zone.
How about that?
Sorry, Woody. I had to throw it in before it passed.
No. That was a good catch right there.
You've been 23 and you've been 33. There's just something a little different. All right. You're talking about now or never. Now or never means a little bit more at 33. It's actually like you get at the end of the line at 33. It is different. I'm telling you that Rams locker room. It's not the same as the Bengals, who yes, they definitely want to win. All right, they definitely are in it. Okay, but there's not one of those guys, 25 and under, literally, breaking NFL records, 25 and under, that are saying, I will never, ever, ever have a chance. Like, my career is over if I don't win this game. But that is what someone like Von Miller is thinking. That's something.
But Von has a championship. Von has a championship.
Okay. Maybe he wants another.
Odell may not. He may sign somewhere else next year, right?
I'm saying so. Matthew Stafford.
Listen, Matthew Stafford definitely has a lot of pressure on him, right? But here's the thing with the Rams. They've proven that they will go make deals. They will acquire pieces. If they lose this game, they're going to keep betting against the future, right? They will have a competitive team around Matt Stafford next year. It'll happen. right?
How do you know?
This is
they don't have any more first round picks.
You're basing it off of that doesn't mean you can't make trades though. They can trade players, they can do stuff. They got creative. They didn't have any first round picks. All of a sudden, they're in the Super Bowl with Von Miller and OBJ, right? That didn't look possible before the season started. They still made it happen. And here's the thing: Joe Burrow is healthy right now and he's playing well. But the year before that, tore his ACL. Right? They only won 4 games. You lose this Super Bowl. Now it's another journey, right? Everybody's at risk for injury, right? But people who have just recently been injured in the past couple of years, that's got to be in the back of your mind. Like, man, what if we don't get back here? It's tough. And because of the Bengals' history of just being a team that loses, and they get to this stage in a season that nobody expected. At the beginning of the year, it was expected. A lot of people anointed the Rams. Oh, they got Matt Stafford now. Sean McVay got to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. He's an elite play caller. He absolutely is. And now he's got somebody that can throw the ball deep. You kind of knew the Rams would get there. Nobody expected the Bengals to get there. And Joe Burrow, Joe Cool is a nickname that's been used, it's been passed down, but he really is cool because after they beat the Raiders, he wasn't celebrating. He says, "Hey, we still got work to do, and I'm making sure the team knows that." That's a leader right there, Then they go out, and I kind of think they were the Titans game. The Titans, if it wasn't for Ryan Tannehill, I don't know if the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl right now, but we don't live in ifs. What happened, and they're there, and they're going to. I feel like the mentality in that locker room has to be to take full advantage of this. That's why I do think that this is going to be a great Super Bowl to watch. I think it's going to be a really head-to-head matchup. It's going to be a lot of competition, and obviously, I want the Bengals to win because that is one heck of a story. But I really am rolling with the Simpsons. And, if I break the Simpsons streak, then so be it. Because I hate these predetermined seeming outcomes from this show. So I'm going to call it right now. And if it happens, then wow. But if it doesn't, then, hey, shout out to the Rams.
Man, definitely would be nice to see Stafford win one.
It's going to be,
that's for sure.
It's going to be one hell of a game to watch. I mean, we none of us have any direct fandom towards these teams. So it's just like literally objectively watching a great game of football. I think we can all expect that. So
seeing Dr. Dre at halftime, right? Just seeing
Eminem and Mary J. Blige.
Yes,
it's great from the 80s and 90s. So
I can just see that game going every which way. I can see it high scoring, low scoring, both teams winning, but you all hit the nail on the head. I think this is going to be one of the more exciting Super Bowls in recent memory. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And another thing that's going to be exciting is these Dr. Dre, Eminem, Mary J. Blige's. In about a week and a half, you're going to see them at the NBA All-Star Game. But what's more exciting than the NBA All-Star Game right now? The NBA trade deadline. I'll tell you what, I got to give the NBA some credit because every year they drive a bunch of anticipation around this trade deadline, just rumors that fly all season long. I love when a trade deadline has come and gone because then you can just focus on the teams that are there. Like the next thing is buyout, who's getting bought out and where he's going to go. Like there's always a developing story. But today we had some trades take place in the NBA. Sacramento Kings and Indiana Pacers completed a 6-player trade, and the Portland Trailblazers and the New Orleans Pelicans completed a 7-player deal. There are still big names out there that could be traded, but let's talk about our favorite teams for a second. I'm a Suns fan. Woody's a Knicks fan. You both are Celtics fans, right? So how about you both start us off? Your team is sizzling hot right now. The Celtics, they're winning some games. They started off, it wasn't looking good, but they're turning it around right now. And what would you like to see your team make a move to get better, to potentially compete for the Eastern Conference?
So I want to take this first because I know that Pat is going to probably disagree with me because I am a against the curve with a lot of and he's wearing the shirt right now, so I know automatically he's going to be against me. I do not want Tatum, right? Like I loved him as our pick and he has year over year, just instead of like progressively going the direction of just like, I want to be a leader, I'm going to take it to the hole, I'm going to like do the necessary dirty work and like make sure this locker room is going the right direction, like, because I am the most skilled player on this team. And he hasn't taken that step at all. If anywhere, he's gone backwards. He is softer. His field goal percentage is going down. His attempts are going up. His 3-point percentage is going. Everything is just awry with him. I just think it's like he can't figure out like if him or Jaylen Brown are supposed to be the number one, and like, you know, conceding it at some point so that Jaylen doesn't feel left. It's just this whole mental mess that's like with Tatum. And I just feel like you either need to, if Brown wasn't there and we had a clear number, like if it was just set in stone, this is your number 2 guy, Tatum's your number 1, that's it, go Tatum, go, then fine, that might solve the problem. But the way they have this in limbo right now, it sucks. And I'd rather have Jaylen than Jason right now, just to clear that air. So the trade deadline as it approaches, I think any which way you dice it, you have to get deeper, because the Celtics are their 5-man rotation is elite. Like they are very, very good, top of the league, right? And with Smart, Tatum, Jaylen, Rob, and my man Al Horford. Woody loves that. I'm a Horford guy, but anyways, like that 5 good on the floor together. Okay, obvious, they're all great, very solid what they do. They know what their roles are. Great. When one of them is taken off the floor, the production and efficiency, this is statistics, it plummets, and it is bad. And we are mid to bottom of the league when one of those guys is out of the mix. So by trading either Tatum or Jaylen, you could instantly become way deeper and get a lot of value. But I think the route that they'll probably go, and the route, I think you're going to end up seeing pieces like Smart paired with Richardson, or using one of the trade exceptions to bring somebody on to try and find a third piece. Honestly, this is going to be my last take. I wish that we could find somebody like a leader in the mold of Chris Paul, who will literally tell Jaylen and Jason what their roles are, what they're supposed to do, to shut their mouth when you need to shut their mouth, and just be a locker room guy. Horford's not that kind of veteran. He's going to lead by example. There's just nobody on that team to really tug him in the right direction. So I don't know what's going to happen at the deadline. There's a lot of rumors floating around. I'm excited. It's clearly hot stove season as far as the NBA goes. So I'll turn it over to you, Pat. I don't know what you want from this team.
Yeah, I mean, just before I forget about it, to your point about needing that leader, that the Celtics are really, really missing. Horford's a good leader, but he isn't exactly what they need, in my opinion. I've thought it multiple times throughout this season also that someone like Chris Paul would be ideal. And, it's funny, if you take a step back and you look at the Suns pre-Chris Paul and the Celtics for the last 5 years or so, there are a lot of similarities between the two of them. A couple really, really good young players, Jaylen and Jason for the Celtics, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, you could throw in a couple more guys for the Suns as well. And what was it that really got the Suns over the hump, or one of the things that really got the Suns over the hump? It was when Chris Paul came to town. You had that guy who was still one of the top players in his position in the league, and in addition to, like you said, being able to corral the young guys, focus them in the right direction, really get the most out of them, in addition to what the coach is getting out of them. And so I completely agree with you there, and I'm glad you brought that up. But to get back to the trade deadline itself, I think it would be wacky to try and get rid of Jason Tatum. I think this season,
not going to happen.
I think this season has made it a little weirder too because of how much better Jaylen Brown is this year than he was last year. I think he should win Most Improved Player of the Year. And if he doesn't, he'll definitely finish top 3 in my opinion, because he's taken a major step forward this season. And so I think that that's gotten in Jason's head a little bit in terms of, wow, he's just as good as me. I've been the top dog, even though there was some friction the last couple of years as well. But now there's genuine questions over who the better player is. So I think over time that'll iron itself out. We've also been saying that for the last 4 or 5 years. So we'll see there. But the one thing that I've heard the most in regards to the Celtics and the trade deadline is Marcus Smart. I'm not thrilled about it, especially with how well he's playing right now. But because he's playing the best he's ever played in his career, it's also the highest I think they'll ever be able to sell him if they're going to trade him.
Yeah.
And one trade that I've heard is Marcus Smart for John Collins in Atlanta. And maybe Kevin Huerter as well. Probably something else coming from Boston if both players come from Atlanta. But that would be pretty interesting. The John Collins addition. And, Huerter gives you some more points off the bench as well. Probably a more consistent scorer than Marcus Smart is. But definitely you lose a lot on the defensive end. Also with Rob Williams taking a big step forward this year, I think that kind of diminishes the need for someone like John Collins, but it would definitely give him a bigger offensive presence down low. So if that was to happen, I think that would be one of the better moves that the Celtics could make in order to take a step up in the Eastern Conference.
I'd love John Collins, man. I'd love to have that.
Wow, I like Marcus Smart, man.
I love Marcus.
I've always been a Marcus Smart fan. I mean, I know he's not like the most polished offensive player, but he plays so hard, man, and he consistently plays defense. I imagine a lot of teams are definitely going to be trying to acquire him, especially teams that are in contention. But I'll tell you what, man, your guys Celtics won 7 in a row. You just smacked the Brooklyn Nets tonight. So it looks like Tatum and Brown are kind of learning how to coexist. A little bit, but it's still just, this could be a streak in the season, but it looks a little good. Now, as far as Jason Tatum and you wanting to trade him, as a Phoenix Suns fan, we've been doing a lot of winning and we haven't even had DeAndre Ayton. I love DeAndre Ayton. That's my guy. I'm not saying I vouch to trade him, but I would absolutely send him to you for Jason Tatum because JaVale McGee, Bismack Biyombo, have been holding down the paint. Bismack Biyombo is balling with the Phoenix Suns. And if you can add a guy like Jason Tatum out there, and you can run Biyombo, Tatum, Bridges, Booker, Chris Paul, book it, championship. I don't think that trade has a chance to happen.
Not even a little bit.
More so thinking the Sixers.
I wouldn't even do that, and I'm the one who wants to trade Tatum. I'm like, if we're going to trade Tatum, we're getting a king's ransom out of that one. I'm telling you,
that would be the smart thing to do.
I'm not devaluing Tatum, right? I just don't like the direction that he's going. I don't like him necessarily as a player. It's not to say he isn't good, right? It's not to say that we shouldn't absolutely try and handcuff a team for all they're worth, like if we're going to get rid of him, but it's not going to happen. He's seen as the franchise guy. I want to make it very clear that I don't think that's going to happen. It's just my opinion that I would rather see a deeper team with a different pairing and more specialization around Jaylen Brown and build off of that as a stepping stone, because like you said, we've seen for 4 years. It's just like they should have figured it out by now. They've had 4 years to gel and figure that piece out. But it's
I think the problem is that Jaylen keeps getting better, right? He's the Josh Allen of the NBA.
That's a good problem to have,
right? But you think you figured it out, like, oh yeah, Jaylen, do your thing, 18 points a game, and then now next year, he's shooting up, right?
Now they're the guys that if they can, sorry.
No. I was gonna say, I think that's part of the problem is that Jaylen keeps evolving. So how are you supposed to gel if he's outgrowing the mold that they're putting in.
I know we went down the rabbit hole of like Celtics love fest right now, but I do want to talk about real quick the actual deadline deals that went down, because a lot of people have the Blazers losing the deal today with the Pelicans, simply because they got rid of McCollum, they sweetened it as far as my opinion goes with Larry Nance, and then Tony Snell, whatever.
Poor Tony,
the man with the 0 guy. I really don't think the Blazers lost that, right? They have, first of all, McCollum's had some trouble staying on the floor. Anthony Simons is on the rise, right? So you can look at kind of addition by subtraction right now. You actually pulled in Alexander Walker, who's not a bad player. Hart, who is emerged as a much better than a just simple role player. He could be a sixth man on a team. And I don't think that the Blazers are done. I think that they're gonna try and appease Lillard, save some money, and go out this offseason and try and get somebody. I don't think they're throwing in the towel with this deal. Like, kind of on the outside, it seems that way. But McCollum might be a nice fit. Larry Nance might be a nice fit. Out there once Zion comes back, that Pelicans team gets healthy. I don't think the Blazers lost this as bad as they did. So that's what I'm going to say about that deal.
You know what? I like Anthony Simons. I'm a big Anthony Simons fan, to be honest with you. And I'm so glad that he'll have a chance to start now. And I like Josh Hart from Nova. I'm a Nova fan. That's my guy too.
Yeah.
Josh Hart, I think he's a good, combo player, not a star. But I'll tell you why people think or look at it like the Blazers lost the deal. Because CJ McCollum's name was involved in packages that could bring you somebody like maybe even a Ben Simmons, right? Or like some other players out there. And people in Portland wanted to see the Trailblazers grab a star that can play with Dame. The Trailblazers last year gave up all this stuff to go get Powell, right? And now they traded him, and barely got anything back. They even got rid of Gary Trent. Like, their team is deteriorating. And then they released a statement and say, we are going to reshape this team around Damian Lillard. But with what? Free agents don't just go to Portland. They don't. It's never been a free agent destination. Is there somebody out there who may be like, yeah, I want to go play with Dame? Oh, to me, it's irresponsible. I feel like they may have been able to get something better for CJ in the offseason, maybe, but I guess we'll see. The Pelicans, I don't really think either team won the trade, because the Pelicans, I mean, you get CJ, he can ball, but that roster is still not competing. So what happens? Right now you're 21-32. Let's say you make the play-in game, and then you play in, and you get baked by the Suns or the Warriors. Now, what do you do next? Like, what are you going to do? You're in the same boat. Like, you didn't get tremendously better. Who knows what's going on with Zion? It was just like one of those trades that was, the teams just made a trade to make a trade. I don't really think either team got significantly better, because even though with CJ McCollum, you add another 20-point scorer to that offense, he may even play a lot more point guard now out there.
I mean, this team,
you sacrifice defense.
They could be trying to do a little bit of a tank sesh right now, right? Because they have the Bulls. You got to remember too in this deal, they get the Bulls 14th, or I'm sorry, a lottery protected pick, right? The Bulls aren't going to finish in the lottery, right? The Bulls are a good team, so that pick is going to convey in the 20s somewhere. And then they also get their pick, which could convey in the top 10. So if you're looking at 2 first-round picks to put around Lillard and these pieces that you just got, along with the pieces that are already there, I mean, if you can re-sign Nurkic, they could be a better team. Now, they were in purgatory with Lillard and McCollum for so long. Did you expect Lillard and McCollum to win a championship anytime soon? I certainly did not. And I think that's why I'm so gung-ho kind of about the Tatum and Jalen situation, because I feel like it's very, very similar to the Lillard and McCollum situation, right? Like, they're just some guys who just can't play together. They need to have the reins 100% of the time, to be effective and have that spotlight. And that might be the situation here. They just don't. They're great basketball players, but they just don't pair well on the court. It's a different flavor. And so I think that's what you might have had in Portland. And this is kind of a step forward that, honestly, I think might be a little bit overdue by a season or two.
I just think they need to trade Dame.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to that point, it's kind of a little puzzling that they chose Dame, who's 3-4 years older than McCollum and injured at the moment, maybe not coming back this season, probably not coming back this season. Just seems I think he is the better player of the two. It just seems a little bit of a head scratcher to choose him over McCollum if you were going to make one choice between one or the other.
Yeah, they should have traded Dame to the Knicks. Yeah, that's literally what I was saying.
Hey, you know what? I'm just going to be honest. If they did trade Damian Lillard to the Knicks for a package of Julius Randle,
get that man off my team, Julius Randle,
and maybe some other pieces, maybe even I don't think they can turn around and trade Cam Reddish that fast. But I just feel like the Blazers need to blow it up.
Definitely.
You're to build a team around Dame right now is going to require a few seasons. And by that time, Dame's going to be looking to get out of there. So
he's 32 already.
Dame has accomplished everything there is to accomplish except for play for an NBA title. He's already named one of the top 75 of all time, which I argue against, but hey, that's just my voice.
Yep.
But he's there. He's been he's done everything you can do except for play for a title. There's loyalty, but he's going to want to play for that title. And, I don't know if Portland's going to be able to put it together that fast. But
I got a quick question for you, Willie. So I think we should go around and just very simply talk about this Kings and Pacers right now, because I want to see what you guys actually think about who won that trade. Because that one, unlike this, there's pretty clear tops, right? This Kings Pacers one has got me. I was sitting there on the fence, like, what team actually the best player in the deal to me, Domantas Sabonis, but the package that they had to give up to get him was just like, woo, boy, okay.
Well,
remind me who it was again. It was Halliburton, it was Buddy Hield, and who was the third guy?
Tristan Thompson.
Tristan Thompson.
I'll tell you what, the Pacers are looking to blow up. The Pacers are looking to blow it up. They don't have much. Tyrese Halliburton is a very good player. You pair him with Malcolm Brogdon in the backcourt now. That's 2 6'5" point guards playing the 1 and the 2. They can both handle the ball. They can both facilitate. That's a good backcourt. Now Duarte moves to the 3, and Duarte can flat out play, man. You keep Miles Turner. The Pacers, not for this season, they're not going to be able to turn their team around. But I do think that in the offseason, they'll probably trade Buddy Hield. I think they got some more tradable assets. I think they won the trade because of that. If you look at the Sacramento Kings, yes, you add Domantas Sabonis, who is a better player down low than anybody that they had, and you pair him with De'Aaron Fox. But you've sacrificed a lot of your depth now. I like Davion Mitchell. He's one of the best on-ball defenders. He can play. Him back there with De'Aaron Fox. But I still think they sacrificed too much, in my opinion, too much quality perimeter depth for me to give them the win just because they got Sabonis.
So you think that the Pacers won this deal? Because
I think they're set themselves up to be a competitive team next year. They can be in that top 8 conversation. Whereas the Kings next year still may not be a top 8 team in the West.
Check for Pacers. Check one for me for the Pacers, because that's just, they did them dirty. I think, Domantas Sabonis, real good player, but then you're throwing in Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb, completely expendable players. You can find the Jeremy Lambs and Justin Holidays of the world out there for a dime a dozen, in my opinion. You probably go off and find they get whatever. Cool. You can get 10 minutes off the bench from a guy if you need it. Fantastic. What you just got was your future. And Tyrese Halliburton paired up. I had this written down with Malcolm Brogdon, that backcourt. Whew, forget about it. Then you get, Buddy Hield. I don't think they're going to actually trade him. I think he is an element to that team right now with that backcourt. He's no slouch, and he's going to knock down that 3-point shot for them. That next year, watch out. If they give Miles Turner the minutes, his per 40 minutes are a lot better than people think, and he's just been kind of in a logjam with Sabonis because they're not good on the floor together. So, watch out for the Pacers.
Surprisingly, Buddy Hield's shooting has declined every single season, and this is his worst shooting season. But I still think he can shoot. It's just,
he's been on the Kings.
Indy brings it out of him.
He's been on the Kings. He needs to get some people around him that are good.
I know you said it was a quick question with a pretty long answer that we were all supposed to go around with. So I'll make my answer quick. I think both teams, I actually would say both teams won. It's just a degree of how much they won. I think for the Kings, I would be ecstatic, like CJ said. Sabonis is the best player. But the Pacers probably won it a little bit more because depth is so valuable in this league. That's it. Quick answer. Told you.
Love it. Bing, bang, boom. Pacers.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, James took just about every point that I was going to say and said it more eloquently than I would have said it. But I think all I have to add on to that is I think Sabonis is the best individual player out of everyone that got moved. But I think the depth that the Kings lost gives the edge to the Pacers.
Hey, shout out to us because we didn't even talk about Ben Simmons and James Harden. We'll see by the release of this, by the premiere of this sportscast. Will James Harden and Ben Simmons be traded for each other, or will they both be on their very same teams? We'll see. Do you guys have anything to any predictions?
Get out of here.
I personally don't think the deal's going to happen.
I got an eviction notice for Julius Randle. Get out of New York. That's all I got to say.
Get out of New York. I would love to see the Phoenix Suns acquire Julius Randle or acquire Thaddeus Young. Got to do something better at the 4 than Jay Crowder. But the Suns are playing really well. But that's my take. And let's talk about what's saucy in the sports world once again. Let's talk about it. The finger looking good. What's mild, what's medium, and what's hot in the sports world right now? And hey, I'll start us off as I always do with something that is very mild right now. This is a 2-part answer for me. I'm going to have to say Kyrie Irving and the Brooklyn Nets. Mild, mega mild. You just eating wings without skin, sauce, or seasoning right now. The Brooklyn Nets lost 10 straight games. 10. And Kyrie came back to top off the 2022 year. He's only going to play road games. They played 12 road games with Kyrie and have only won 4. That's it. Just 4 out of the 12 road games. Sorry, Kevin Durant. I don't know what to tell you, man. I actually feel bad for you because this is proven. You look, not just you, but superstars need superstars around them to really make that push. And your stars are selling you short. And the Nets are trash right now.
Yeah.
That's my mild pick.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go back to the diamond here for my medium because this is just it's sweet. It's not even spicy at all anymore. I'm just getting bored. This MLB lockout. Figure it out, guys. Figure it out. You got lawyers on one side. You got lawyers on another side. Can't we all just get along and pay each other millions of dollars? Like, please, just do something and let these laborers just get the deal done, because baseball should be happening in another couple months. Spring training, like, let's figure it out, boys, because there's no trades. This is the season that we should be speculating like we were on the trade deadline with the NBA. We should be talking about, like, what's going on in the MLB and the hot stove and everything. And it's radio silent. Why? Because they can't figure it out. Get it done. Get a deal done. Keep the season going. Let the fans enjoy. Let us talk about it a little bit, because we got nothing going on in baseball. That's my medium sauce for you. What do you got?
My mild sauce, speaking of not super exciting, going to the golf world.
All right. First time on S2S.
It's quick. I promise. I won't put you all to sleep. But
Hey.
Jon Rahm just entered his 36th week as the number one player in the world. Pretty impressive. About 7 months or so. Don't quote me on that. I know I'm probably off a little bit. But the fun part about that fact is, if he is to pass Tiger Woods' record for the longest time spent at the world number one, all he needs to do is stay at that spot for another 12 years and 5 months.
Wow. I love that stat. That's a great stat.
That was
the
so
delivery
great.
of the stat was,
I
oh my God.
was literally waiting for it too, because I was like, I know Tigers is going to be like one of the unbeatable records.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was laid out very nicely. Those were mild wings, but you put it. They were placed on the plate so beautifully.
They
were.
put a little parsley on the top, that nobody cares about. Oh man.
So yeah, I got mild wings. This is actually pretty funny. First time ever in the history of Wings and Things that for a specific sauce, we had 4 different sports. So my sport, I'm going with an organization that has actually been, pretty saucy for quite some time now. But I think, I think the Roman Empire has fallen, and this they're not even really an empire. So I don't even know why I said that. New Orleans Saints, what's going on? What's going on? I mean, they are $76 million over the cap right now. Okay. Sean Payton sees that, right? Drew's gone, right? And Drew's not Tom. Like, Drew, he has my respect. He gets a lot of tremendous regular season stats, look at his stats. He is a very impressive individual, right? But they only have one ring to show for it. He sees that Drew's gone, right? He paid Taysom, Taysom's a running back. So Sean Payton's like, hey, I'm out. Okay. So now you guys are on your own to figure out the cap for $76 million. Okay. Michael Thomas, are his ankles okay? Is his head okay? What's going on? Michael Thomas. Alvin Kamara. Wow. Just beating people up. He is so mad. He is so frustrated that he lost his coach. Okay. They're talking about in the Pro Bowl that, I don't know. He just gets mad. He beats people up. He gets arrested. So now that's something that they have to worry about. The Saints are in disarray. They are mild. I literally wouldn't be surprised if they finish dead last in the NFC South next year.
Oh, when you just said that, my first thought was, at least he's not on the Raiders.
That's true.
My first thought was, who's going to have more people go to jail, the Saints or the Raiders?
The Raiders got a great thing going for them. Real good rap. Anyways,
they are definitely.
Let's continue down the spice train. Yeah, what do you got for mediums?
Well, I just wanted to say they are definitely looking like the Aints, and them wings ain't Cajun at all right now. They're not Cajun out in NOLA. But I'll tell you my medium sauce. I'm actually going to have to play this one back twice, right? Last time it was a player, but this time I'm going to have to give it to the team still, because I cannot believe that we are over 50 games into the NBA season. And when you look at the Eastern Conference standings, the Cleveland Cavaliers are a game and a half out of first place. What? Who saw that coming, man? But hey, you got to give it to Coach Bickerstaff and the crew. They just acquired Karis LeVert to strengthen that starting five. They're really going all in here. And they are a team that you cannot just say it's Cleveland, they'll eventually. They are good, man. They are really good. And I'm giving them medium because they're not hot yet, but they're doing very well. The 3-7-footer offense is killing it, man, with Mobley, Allen, and Lauri Markkanen. And you got all-star Darius Garland. And you just added Karis LeVert to that lineup. You got Okoro coming off the bench. I just have to give it to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're a little medium right now. These wings, they could spice up. They definitely could spice up. We'll see on the future wings and things if they in the hot sauce category. But hey, All-Star Weekend in Cleveland, it's popping. I bet you LeBron want to go back, but he ain't going to say it though.
All right. It almost shames me to put this in a medium because the game was just, it's not even worth playing anymore. The Pro Bowl, right? But my medium is a player, and I had to do this because I knew that Pat was coming on. It's a little bit spicy. Mac Jones.
I already know what you're gonna say.
Mac Jones is my little bit of spice, right? Even though 9 quarterbacks probably in the AFC said no. And they were like, all right, Mac, why don't you grab a plane ticket and come get a tan? And he was like, all right, cool, come play. So, but I got to say, it was spicy because I do think it's a confidence boost, right? For a young guy to get selected to the Pro Bowl in his first year, like, cool. He actually didn't do bad. Like, obviously this is a very soft game, but, at least he didn't throw 3 picks and then, like a pick 6 or whatever. He had fun. Clearly, the guy he had a good. There was highlights of him just doing whatever, and man, he attempted his little gritty. So as white boy dancing as it was, you got to love the guy, right? He showed a little bit of personality, So we got to know the Mac a little bit, and know him a little bit more outside of New England. So that's why I needed to spice it a little bit with the homer pick here with Mac Jones.
And before Will says it. Yes, he did get picked off by Trayvon for the second time this season.
Took my thunder, man. Took my thunder.
Thank you for saving me from that.
I knew you were going to say it.
Well, he picked you off, Will. Pat Gill picked him off, Will.
My medium sauce is one bit of good news coming out of the MLB. Is as of, I believe it was yesterday, the 20-year agreement for testing all players for steroids has ended. So the major leagues will no longer be testing players for steroids.
Amazing. I want to see guys the size of Brock Lesnar out there next year.
Right? It said only 5 people tested positive last year, and the only person whose name I recognized was Ramon Laureano from the A's. And he's not even, that good. He might have been an all-star this year, but I don't think he was. But anyways, you're right. I'm hoping we see Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds type looking guys coming back in the next few years, just balloon biceps and forearms.
Make MLB fun again, right? That was Bryce Harper's slogan, and I just hope they do. And by all means, go.
And you thought Bryce Harper had a bad temper already. Wait until he starts doing steroids.
It's gonna be a beautiful thing. I can't wait to see them turn around again and just let's go back to the 90s, baby.
Right. So I think MLB stock is looking up.
Let's go. Let's go.
My medium sauce. I don't even know how to feel about it. And that's I guess that's kind of what medium wings are. Like, like a lot of people like prefer to go for the mild or go for the hot. But like medium, they are definitely the least ordered of the three. So that being said, All-Star Weekend's in 2 weeks. NBA All-Star Weekend. I mean, does anybody care about the dunk contest anymore? Do people even care about the weekend? I mean, I won't lie. Aaron Gordon should be like a 2-time winner. He had a great showing against Zach LaVine. That was I can't even say like that was the last great one. It was the last great one, but like the 5 before that were horrible. Like it was just like a random outlier in a almost 15-year period of irrelevance. So this year they got Jalen Green, number 2 overall pick. Like that's cool, for the big market, Obi Toppin, right? He's a Knick, right? So, all those Knicks fans are gonna hype him up. But the 3-point contest, it's just horrible. It's horrible. I probably should have put it as mild. But some people get excited. And you know who will be excited? Will be Mrs. Antetokounmpo, right? Watching her 3 boys, okay? The Antetokounmpo Bros are literally competing together as a team in the skills challenge against other random teams. I wish it was like teams of brothers.
Embarrassment. It's an embarrassment.
But the holidays, right? You could throw the 3 holidays in there or something. I don't know. You could
bring the Berries back from retirement. Just get them all in. Who cares? Go straight to McGrady and Vince Carter like
let Gary Payton play too.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, let's get. I'm sorry, Will. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No. I'm telling you, I probably won't be watching, but I know Mrs. Antetokounmpo will be there front row cheering on her 3 sons. So medium sauce.
Medium sauce.
Wow. Medium. I'm going to go with some hot sauce now, man, and we're going to have to take it to the city of Memphis. And we're going to have to talk about Ja Morant, because since the new year has come in, Ja Morant has been looking like a taller version of Allen the Answer Iverson. Ja is balling, and I'm talking AI with a higher field goal percentage, by the way. Listen, Ja Morant averaging 29 points a game over the last 17 games and 7 assists. The Memphis Grizzlies are 13-4 in those games. They are arguably the second or third hottest team in the NBA since the new year came in, and they are the 3rd best team by record in the league overall. And they're led by Ja Morant. And what I respect so much about it is that the Grizzlies were winning when Ja Morant was hurt earlier in the year, and fans were actually saying, and he heard it, why don't we just trade Ja Morant? We don't need him. And he responded to that. But he didn't ask for a trade. He didn't say, get rid of me, sit me down. He didn't pull the mental health plug. He came back looking like the league's potential MVP. And he's hot right now. Shout out to J.A., a.k.a. Temeculus Morant. That's his real name.
I love that. That's a great hot pick right there. And if you haven't, fans, seen the sports science on Ja Morant, it makes him so much more impressive. Yo, Stag, our producer, please put a nice little sports science logo right here on the edit, because they did a ridiculous job. I mean, the guy is just unhuman the way that he's able to do some of the stuff he's doing on the court.
I just want to say I jacked up. I called this brother Temeculus. My bad, y'all. Demetrius. I don't know why Temeculus. Temeculus is an ugly name. That sounds like a Zord from the Power Rangers. Like, I hope it ain't nobody out there with the name Temeculus. If so, subscribe to the Side to Side YouTube channel, and we'll get you on the show.
Come on the show,
Temeculus. We'll get you on here to talk about that time you morphed up.
Yeah, Will's first son is going to be Temeculus. Boom.
It might just be. You might just be.
Temeculus Gaddy, let's go. No, but here's my hot sauce for you. Okay, we got a pretty cliche pick here. Okay. Joe Burrow, my man, right? I don't think he made a case that John Morant could be hotter than Joe Burrow right now, but I don't know, man. He's in the big game. He has been delivering like a young Brady. He has risen to the moment when asked at every occasion right now, and he is on cruise control. I said he's like, his nickname's Joe Cool. He might as well be a frozen habanero because he is just, you'll be eating it. It's going to feel cool, but boy, it's going to be spicy. You're going to start sweating because Joe Cool is just, he is too hot to handle right now. And that's why, I know I predicted the Rams earlier in the show. We'll see. We'll see if he proves me wrong. I will say it again. I would not be surprised if I am wrong about the Rams winning the Super Bowl. So, boom, there's my hot sauce for you, Joe Burrow.
All right. For my hot sauce, I'm going to go out to the desert in Arizona with some late breaking news I saw not long. I actually changed it, I think, about an hour before we all logged on here. Kyler Murray has unfollowed the Cardinals on all social media accounts.
Yep.
What does this mean? We will see. But that was something I definitely wasn't expecting. I mean, maybe it's my lack of following the teams out west. But, if this was coming, it's the first I had heard of him potentially being so upset with the team that he wants out. But, wow. That's
definitely saucy, man. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if when the lockout ends, he might go scratch that baseball itch. He was about to go play baseball till they convinced him he would be the number 1 overall draft pick.
Yeah, exactly. And, you can last a lot longer as a baseball player and make just as much money as he's making in the NFL, in the MLB.
Probably more, honestly.
True.
And it's guaranteed. It's all guaranteed.
Exactly. You probably get automatic 10 years longer than you would probably have gotten in the NFL.
Hey, isn't it nice to have that option? You're like, listen, NFL's not working out. I guess I'll just go play outfield.
I guess I'll go to the MLB.
I think Kyler just mad that every time they put him in memes, they have him looking like this. Like everybody else made a picture, but he be like this. I think he's tired of that. Now he don't play football no more.
Well, I think he might be cut. He might be cut from that Ben Simmons cloth, man. He might be a little soft. He got embarrassed. He got embarrassed on a national stage. I don't know why he would blame, Cliff Kingsbury, because he was embarrassed. So if he wants to, take his ball and not go home but go to the MLB, that really wouldn't surprise me too much. But it's a shame because he is a great quarterback. I think the Cardinals have done right by him, getting him a very solid coach. I know DeAndre Hopkins was hurt most of the year, but they gave him one of the best receivers in the entire league, and other weapons around. Christian Kirk actually went on record. I saw this about probably the same time, Pat, that you saw the Kyler article that Christian Kirk, he's an unrestricted free agent this offseason, and he said his return to Arizona is completely contingent on the status of Kyler Murray. So that just goes to show you the type of faith, Kyler's teammates have in him. So I think it would be a real shame for him to go home. But, this, the mental is usually what drives people, right? That's why I make a lot of the picks that I make. So I don't know if Kyler has it in here to stick around.
Time will tell.
Yes. But we have one final hot sauce, which is unfortunate. It's sad. I'm sad. Will Gaddy knows why I'm sad.
The streak is over, man. We got to have a new hot sauce.
He enjoys it just as much as I do. The Kansas City hot wings, the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. And they were looking incredible. What's so embarrassing?
So good.
I'm so embarrassed to admit this, but it was 21-0, right? And we had just put the baby to sleep. So I looked at my wife and I said, "Yeah, I'm really tired. I need to catch this rest for this Rams game. Let me take a nap." I literally took a nap in the middle of the game. And next thing I knew, it was overtime. I was like, why didn't you wake me up? Like, what? She was like, yo, you said you were going to get some rest. I'm like, what? I literally had to like watch the game back. I was mind blown. Like, what even transpired? So I had to. That's a whole different story. But my hot sauce pick is a hot team. Okay, I'm going from one dynasty to another. I'm going from one light-skinned brother to another. One generational, not General So's chicken. I'm talking about generational, talent, right? That changed the game forever. I'm going from one to the other, okay? I'm going with the boys, okay? They not bronze, they not silver, but they in Golden State. I'm telling you, these boys, 9 straight wins. Okay, today, February 8th, which is Tuesday, this is when we're recording the show. All right, breaking the fourth wall, is actually Klay Thompson's 32nd birthday. And as a birthday gift, the team doctors have now cleared him to surpass 30 minutes per game. Okay, as he tries to work his way back from the traumatic, crazy, career-threatening injuries that he had to get through. So he is back, right? The team, and it's such a benefit, right? To be able to be out. Don't worry, the team's on a 9-game winning streak, right? Will, you talked about KD. You talked about the Nets. Nets is crumbling. They're falling down. They're doing all this. But the Warriors, they don't. Clay, you need some time? Yeah. Clay, do it. Whatever you need to do. We're here. Okay, the Warriors, they're still hot. All right, John Morant. I'm telling you, during that take, I was sweating. My back is drenched right now talking about John Morant. But there is a team better than the Grizzlies, and those are the Golden State Warriors. They are the Phoenix Suns. But my pick right now, the longest active winning streak in the league. Oh, besides maybe the Celtics, I'm not sure. I gotta look it up. Is
Celtics 7-game win streak. You're right. The Warriors have the longest active win streak in the league right now, and they are absolutely hot. So Woody's Wings still sizzling with some incredible hot sauce to go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. This has been another episode of the Side to Side Sportscast, and we just want to thank our boy Pat Gill for keeping it real. My man, I gotta get better at doing this thing. Thank you for coming through, man. You know, we absolutely one of these days you got to come back on and kick it with us. Plenty more sports to talk about it, man. But thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to come on the Sportscast. Call it how you see it. Call it how you saw it. Call out those who didn't see it how you saw it. Represent your outlook on everything that's going on, your sports teams, your players. We want to talk about what you want to talk about. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And we would love to see you soon. Until then, we out.